I studied in Boston.
My name is Yuki. I am 20 years old. I grew up in a small city in Japan called Nagano. Life there was quiet and simple. I went to school every day. I ate dinner with my parents every night. I knew everyone in my neighborhood. I felt safe there. But I had a dream. I wanted to study English in America. I wanted to go to a university in Boston. My parents worked very hard to save money for me. My mother always said, "Yuki, you are strong. You can do anything." In September, I got on a plane for the first time in my life. I was excited. I was also very scared. When the plane landed in Boston, I looked out the window. The city was big and loud and different. I held my bag tightly and walked out of the airport alone. My university was called Linfield College. My dormitory room was small but clean. I had a roommate. Her name was Emma. She was from Texas. She had red hair and a very loud laugh. She smiled at me the first day and said, "Hi, I'm Emma. Welcome to Boston." I smiled back, but I did not say much. I did not know what to say. That first night, I lay in my bed and listened to the city sounds outside. Cars, people talking, sirens far away. Everything felt so different from Nagano. I closed my eyes and thought, I can do this. I can do this. But deep inside, I was not sure. The first week of classes was very hard. The professors spoke fast, very fast. I could understand some words, but not all of them. I wrote notes in my notebook, but sometimes I did not know what I was writing. In my Japanese high school, I studied English for 6 years. I thought I was good at it. But here, in a real American classroom, I felt like a child. My classmates asked questions and answered questions so easily. I sat quietly and said nothing. I was afraid to speak. I was afraid my English was not good enough. I was afraid people would laugh at me. After class, Emma asked me, "Yuki, do you want to get coffee?" I said, "No, thank you. I have to study." But the truth was, I did not want to try to have a conversation. I was afraid I would say something wrong. At night, I called my mother in Japan. "How is it, Yuki?" she asked. "Fine," I said. "Everything is fine." But it was not fine. I was alone in my room, eating instant noodles, watching the same Japanese videos on my phone again and again. I was afraid to go out. I was afraid of making mistakes. I felt like I was not good enough to be here. I did not tell my mother any of this. I did not want her to worry. I just said, "I'm okay, Mom. Don't worry." 2 weeks passed, then 3 weeks. I went to class every day, but I never spoke in class. I smiled at Emma in the morning, but always said I was busy when she asked me to go out. I ate alone in the cafeteria. I walked alone on campus. I felt more and more alone every day. One evening, Emma knocked on my door. She sat on my bed and looked at me. "Yuki," she said, "are you okay? You seem sad." I looked at the floor. "I'm fine," I said. "I'm just tired." Emma was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "You know, you can talk to me. I'm your roommate. I'm also your friend." I nodded, but said nothing. She left the room slowly. That night, I called my mother again. This time, I could not pretend. My voice was shaking. "Mom," I said, "it's very hard here. I don't understand everything in class. I can't speak English well. I feel alone. I feel like I'm not good enough." My mother was quiet for a moment. Then she said softly, "Yuki, you left home and crossed an ocean. That is already very brave. Being afraid is okay, but don't give up." I wiped my eyes. "Okay, Mom," I whispered, but I still felt afraid. The next day in class, the professor asked a question. I knew the answer. I sat very still. My heart was beating fast. I did not raise my hand. Someone else answered. The professor said, "Good." I looked at my notebook and felt something heavy in my chest. I was afraid, and being afraid was making me smaller every day. 1 month after arriving in Boston, something happened that I did not expect. In my English writing class, we had to give a short presentation. Each student had to talk for 3 minutes about their hometown. I was terrified. I practiced in my room 20 times. I stood in front of my small mirror and said the words quietly. My voice shook every time. On the day of the presentation, I sat and watched the other students. They all spoke so naturally. They made jokes. The class laughed. My hands were sweating. I thought, I cannot do this. I am not good enough. Then the professor called my name. "Yuki, please." I stood up. My legs felt weak. I walked to the front of the room. 30 faces looked at me. I took a breath. "My name is Yuki," I said. "I am from Nagano, Japan." My voice was small. I could hear it shaking. Nagano is a mountain city. In winter, there is a lot of snow. My mother makes hot soup for me every cold morning. I paused. I felt something in my throat, but I kept going. I miss Nagano. I miss my family. Being here is very hard for me, but I want to learn. I want to try. I stopped. "Thank you." The room was quiet for 1 second. Then the class started clapping, not a polite clap, a real clap. Emma clapped loudest. The professor smiled at me and said, "Thank you, Yuki. That was honest and beautiful." I walked back to my seat. My hands were still shaking, but I was no longer afraid in the same way. Something had changed inside me. That evening, Emma came to my room again. This time I opened the door wide. "Emma," I said, "can we go get coffee?" Her face broke into a big smile. "Yes, finally," she laughed. We sat in a small coffee shop near campus. I held my warm cup with both hands. I looked at Emma and said, "I'm sorry I was quiet for so long. I was afraid. My English is not perfect. I was afraid you would think I was stupid." Emma shook her head. "Yuki, no, never. Your English is good. You're the one who doesn't know that." I laughed a little. It was the first time I laughed in a long time. "I don't want to be alone anymore," I said. It was an honest sentence, a simple one, but it was the most important sentence I had said since arriving in Boston. Emma reached across the table and patted my hand. "Then stop hiding," she said. "Come with me to study group tomorrow. Come have lunch with me. Practice your English with me. I want to hear your voice more, not less." I nodded. I felt something loosen in my chest, something tight that had been there for a long time. That night, I called my mother. "Mom," I said, "I spoke in class today and I went out with my roommate." My mother laughed, a warm, happy laugh. "I knew you could do it. I always knew." I smiled into the phone. I finally believed her. After that day, things changed slowly. Not all at once, but every day a little bit better. I started going to Emma's study group on Tuesday and Thursday nights. There were 4 students in the group. They spoke fast, but they were kind. When I did not understand a word, I asked. When I made a grammar mistake, they helped me gently. I stopped being afraid to speak. In class, I started raising my hand. Not every day, but sometimes. And every time I spoke, my voice was a little less shaky. My professor noticed. One day, she stopped me after class and said, "Yuki, your participation this week was great. Keep going." I said, "Thank you," and I meant it deeply. Emma and I started having breakfast together every morning. She taught me American slang. I taught her how to say simple things in Japanese. We laughed a lot. I was no longer alone. 2 months later, I got my first essay back with a grade. It was a B+. I stared at it for a long time. In Japan, a B+ would feel normal. But here, after everything, after all the fear, all the lonely nights, all the times I almost gave up, it felt like something much more. It felt like proof. Proof that I was good enough. Proof that being afraid does not mean you cannot do something. I took a photo of the essay and sent it to my mother. She replied with many heart emojis and one sentence, "I told you so."
I am still in Boston. I still make mistakes in English. I still miss Nagano sometimes, especially in winter when I smell cold air and think of my mother's soup. But I am not afraid the way I used to be. I learned something important that year. Being afraid is not the same as being weak. Being afraid and trying anyway, that is what makes you strong. I was afraid I was not good enough. I tried anyway. And slowly, I became enough. Not because I became perfect, but because I stopped hiding and started showing up. If you feel alone in a new place, if you feel like you are not good enough, please hear this. Everyone around you has their own fear. You are not the only one. The bravest thing you can do is say one honest sentence. Open one door. Take one small step. The rest will follow. You are already brave enough. You just don't know it yet.